Remember how high morale was around the Las Vegas Raiders at this time last year? The Raiders just fired then head coach Josh McDaniels. They played hard for then interim head coach Antonio Pierce, and they went 5-4 down the stretch. Pierce was pressing all the right buttons at that time. He put edge rusher Malcolm Kuntz in the starting lineup. He put quarterback Aiden O'Connell in the starting lineup. And he signed corner Jack Jones. The future was supposed to be bright. Fast forward to week 8 of this year, and they get blown out by the Cincinnati Bengals to lose 5 in a row. What happened? Pierce appeared to know what he was doing. He is a first-time head coach, so he's making his fair share of mistakes. That's to be expected, but at the same time, he has a few things working against him. Pierce clearly had a formula of how to win games with this team. It was run the ball, don't have the quarterback make mistakes, and play to the defense that was number 1 in the NFL over the second half of last season. The Raiders obviously wanted to follow that formula this year, but they would have to do so with a short-handed defense. Thanks to edge rusher Max Crosby, interior defensive lineman Christian Wilkins came to the Raiders to make the defense better. However, Wilkins is on injury reserve with a foot injury, and to compound that, Kuntz has been out since the beginning of the season with a knee injury. That's a lot of pressure on the quarterback missing. It would have been great to see the whole defensive line working with a secondary that got a big boost from the emergence of corner Jacorian Bennett and safety Isaiah Polamau. As short-handed as they are, the defense is still pretty good, and they are not the reason why the Raiders aren't very good right now. However, they aren't as dominant as they were down the stretch last year. They aren't going to allow the Raiders to win a game in which they didn't complete a pass for 3 quarters this year. They can forget about all that. The Raiders wouldn't be winning right now if the defense was at full strength, though. Last year, the offense did just enough for the Raiders to win games down the stretch. They didn't score a ton of points, but they scored enough. They had some good drives and took time off the clock. This year, other than a few scripted opening drives, there hasn't been much to see on the Raider offense. That's because they had a dud of an offensive coordinator. I tried to give Luke Getsy a shot like the Raiders did, but he was horrible. He ran the ball near the goal line 3 times in a row when the run wasn't working. Then in another game, he threw it 3 times in a row when the run was working. That's a horrible thing that happened to Pierce because Getsy wasn't his first choice. He wanted Cliff Kingsbury and had him until negotiations hit a snag and he decided to go to the Washington Commanders. He's doing very well over there too. So who do you blame for the Kingsbury contract situation? Pierce doesn't negotiate contracts. That's GM Tom Telesco's department. The team then had to scramble, and Getsy is who they ended up with. Telesco went against Pierce in the personnel department too. Even though Zamir White looked really good down the stretch last year, Pierce wanted Josh Jacobs back. Was it going to cost? Yes, but if you're a run the ball and play defense type of team, you need that type of player. Telesco wouldn't match the offer the Green Bay Packers made though. That's because he doesn't believe in paying running backs or drafting them high. He believes in getting little rinky-dink guys like Austin Eckler. Guys like that don't work for teams that run the ball a lot. You need a star running back when you're talking about putting the ball in his hands a lot. Guys like Eckler are for when you have a guy like Justin Herbert at quarterback and pass-catching weapons around him. I know the offensive line needs to get it going, but a star like Jacobs really does change things. He consistently makes guys miss in the backfield where White and Alexander get caught in the backfield when the defender penetrates. Getting Dylan Labe in the 6th round to address the position isn't the move. You have to draft and spend money according to your style of play. Running teams need star running backs. Remember when Pierce said whoever comes has to beat Aiden out when talking about the possibility of another quarterback coming? Well, Gardner Minshew ended up being the guy that came, and he didn't beat Aiden out really. Neither O'Connell nor Minshew did anything to distinguish themselves, but it was Minshew who got the job. What happened? Well, that's kind of what happens when a GM signs a guy and wants to see him play. The head coach has to defer to the GM if the GM was on top of the football power structure like Telesco is. And again, Telesco built the team as it is against Pierce's philosophy. Pierce got O'Connell to manage the game and not make mistakes so the defense could win games last year. Minshew's the wrong quarterback for that philosophy. He doesn't have a gun, but he's a gunslinger, and gunslinging leads to turnovers, especially when your gunslinger doesn't have a gun. And if you turn the ball over, you obviously can't win on defense because the defense doesn't get enough rest and constantly has to defend a short field. After choosing Getsy as the offensive coordinator, choosing Minshew over O'Connell was the biggest mistake the Raiders made this season. Pierce really didn't get what he wanted out of Getsy, philosophy or results-wise, so he and the Raider organization had to fire him. We all obviously like the move, but it's time to get someone that's in line with what Pierce wants. I don't know if Getsy was Pierce's choice as the Raiders had to scramble, but I know he didn't agree with them philosophically. He prefers the power gap scheme to Getsy's zone scheme. He also wanted the vertical game to go with the running game, but Getsy was dink and dunk. We saw them take their shots down the field with speedster Trey Tucker last year, but this year we barely saw any of it. Now I'm hearing Scott Turner is replacing Getsy, and his father Norv Turner is going to have a role in the offensive staff. If Norv has a good amount of influence on the Raider offense, the power gap scheme and the vertical game will be coming back to the Raiders. Those are traditional staples of the Raider offense that Pierce always wanted to bring back. As you know, none of that was happening with Getsy, and his offense wasn't effective. Hopefully the Turners can fix it all. I don't know about y'all, but I really miss the vertical game. Again, I know Pierce is a first-time head coach and he's making mistakes, but he shouldn't look this bad. Pierce did more with the Raiders with a half a playbook from a fired head coach than what he's doing now with an offensive coordinator. He was in charge of everything, so the whole team was going in one direction. Now Telesco is here and he's looking to build the Raiders as he sees fit, and some of his moves don't coincide with Pierce's vision. The result is what we have now, a team that turns the ball over a lot while the defense is short-handed. If the Turners are really the ones that'll be in charge of the offense, the fit with Pierce is there. So hopefully they can all get on one page. Thank you for watching. See you next time.